first thing you're going to need is a mask. And the best place to create a mask is your mask generators. Now, you can use anything. You can go manually into your curvature map, add a levels, blend it with some other stuff, pipe in some noise that'll warp and break it up, and then you can do anything like that you want to. But you can also do this, and this is what I'm going to do. So you can go in and grab a generator, and just for demonstration purposes, we're going to start with dirt. So I'm going to drag dirt in here. And this is going to create a dirt mask. Now, it's a generator, and it has certain needs. And what those needs are mesh data and an optional mask. So we'll get into that in a second. So mesh data, if I click one, I don't know why I always forget. It's actually looking for a curvature and ambient occlusion. So it's going to look at my curvature map, and in the really deep recesses where it's dark on my curvature map, let's go ahead and look at that stuff. I'm going to drag this down here. So where it's really dark in my curvature map, it's going to stuff dirt in there, as well as on my ambient occlusion map, it's going to put dirt in there as well based on these two maps. So I'm going to drag my ambient occlusion map back here, and I'm going to go, hey guys, curvature, you go there. Ambient occlusion, you go there. So now when I double click this one, you're going to see the output, or what happens when you run these two maps into this dirt node. And this dirt node basically has some exposed parameters for the end user, and that's dirt level. So if we crank this all the way down, we have a nice pristine map, and or if you crank it down to 0, there is no dirt on this thing. If we start adding dirt, it's going to be looking at our curvature map and our ambient occlusion map and start putting white in those areas. And when it puts white in those areas, that means dirt's going to start showing up. And of course, we have to tell Substance Designer how this dirt's going to show up on our model. We'll get that in a second. You can also do dirt contrast, so that'll kind of like run a levels on your dirt node, as well as the grunge amount. So if we zoom in here, you can see if we have no grunge, it's going to kind of get rid of some of this. It's just going to be a very nice, smooth, dusty kind of dirt. If we put a lot of grunge in there, or halfway grunge, it's going to start breaking that dirt up with a bunch of cool stuff. And then edge masking. And you can also use a custom grunge. So if you have a custom grunge you want to use, hit true, and you're going to see this little thing, grunge input, is in there. So let's go ahead and go to our noise. Scroll all the way up, there we go, noises, and we'll just take black and white spots 1. We'll plug that into our grunge input. And now when we double click, we can see our grunge amount is actually being controlled by that noise. And I believe if we double click black and white spots, it also has a disorder. So it's kind of like a random seed, I guess. So you can kind of update that as well, and it'll go ahead and update your grunge in here. Pretty cool, but I don't want that. So I'm going to delete that, double click this node, turn that to false. And now we have a dirt node that's creating white where dirt goes. So now that I have that mask generator, what I'm going to do is go ahead and put dirt on our object here. So how I'm going to do that is I need a dirt material. So I'm going to go do a base material. There we go. Drag that out. I'm going to double click this one, and I'm going to my channels here. And once you've done this for one, you can just copy and paste it, and you don't need to do this every single time. I thought you could pick channels, but I guess not. I guess that's just driven by the workflow. So we're doing metal roughness, that's fine. For my base color for a dirt, and if I want to see this, I can, of course, right-click this and do View in 3D View. And if I make this a base color of, like, what's dirt? Like dark brown, something like that. And then dirt is not metallic, so no metal. Dirt's pretty rough. It's not very shiny, so I'm going to go ahead and roughen that up a bit. And that looks like pretty good dirt to me. If you want to grunge up your dirt a little bit, you can. Yeah, that's cool. So we've got nice grungy dirt. So now, if we go back into 3 mode here, that'll be our material view. So here's our dirt sitting here. Now we need to use this mask to tell this dirt where to go and then output these. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to type in material, and what I'm looking for is material blend. So what this is going to do is blend 2 full materials together using a grayscale mask, which is our dirt. So I'm going to drag this node out. And right off the bat, you're going to see material 1 and material 2. Material 2, the default material, it's the little dark dot in there, tells you that's the default. That's where I'm going to plug my output of my main material. So I'm going to plug that in here. And I'm just going to keep passing that all the way through. So then I'm going to pass this through out here. And of course, I'm going to have to replug in my normal map. So now if I do View Outputs in 3D View, here is the result, and it looks kind of weird. It looks like it killed some of my material properties, like my metallics and stuff. Don't worry. we need to tell it to blend a material over that. Right now it's blending like a bunch of white, I believe, white or maybe black. It's blending a bunch of default maps right now, and it's giving you a weird output. So I'm going to go ahead and take my dirt and blend it right over that. And unfortunately when I do that, because I haven't told this dirt where to show up on my model, it's going to assume it wants to show up everywhere. I don't want it to show up everywhere. I want it to show up where dirt is. So I'm going to drag this mask, plug it into my grayscale mask here, and now it's only going to go where these white parts are on my mask, and it's going to show up and be dirty. So now when as I'm outputting viewing this, I can double click on this dirt mask node. I can say, you know what, that's pretty dirty. So I'm going to drop this dirt level down. And you see that updates. Let's make it a little bit more dirty than that. There we go. So you can see the dirt start creeping in from underneath the edges in here. Creep the dirt level a little bit more. And because dirt can get on everything, I'm just going to leave that on everything. And basically what that means is I'm not going to use this optional mask here because it's on everything. I'm just going to say, hey, dirt goes on everything. Now if we start getting into metal scratches and stuff like that, we're only going to want to contain that to the metal parts. Plastic stuff is going to be the stuff that gets sun bleached, that type of thing. And that's where you can use this mask and say, hey, you know what, metal scratches, you only go on the metal. And that makes sense. So let's go ahead and start adding some more wear. Speaking of metal scratches, let's go ahead and do that. So how do we want to do metal scratches? I'm going to steal this node because we've already had it set up with the correct amount of channels. So I'm going to hit Control Copy, Control Paste. And it might have a bunch of weird inputs. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this out, just so we know we're starting from scratch here. I'm going to pass through this material, and we're going to daisy chain material, the main material path, all the way straight through. And these little outliers in here, these little material that are being blended in, these are going to be just kind of blended in over the main path. So I'm going to take this dirt node, Control Copy, Control Paste, and right now we're going to blend dirt over this thing again. Only I want to blend metal. So what I'm going to do is go into my base color here, and we're going to choose like a light color, and we're going to make it very metallic, and we're going to make it pretty shiny. So now that we've done that, we have a little bit of grunge there. I'm going to make it just pure shiny metal. So we need to tell this metal, you know what, you only show up where metal scratches are. So we need a mask generator again. I'm going to go back down here to my mask generators, and we're going to choose metal edge wear. I'm going to drag this out, and now this metal edge wear is looking for, if I hit 1, it's looking for curvature and ambient occlusion again. Imagine that. So we're going to drop down in here, and we're going to drag in our ambient occlusion, and drag in our curvature, and bring this up here, and I'm going to hit 3. So now we can plug, so it's starting to create metal edge wear in here. I can go ahead and drag this right into that mask. And now it's starting to apply some metal edge wear. Unfortunately, it's going everywhere. So even like the rubbery parts are getting metal edge wear. Don't like that. So how do we tell it only go where metal is? Well, what I'm going to do is go to this material selector node. So if I drag this out and we double click on it, I'm going to say the number of materials I want is 7, because we have 7 materials over here. And so I've got material 1 true. If I turn this one to true, you're going to see it starts giving me more colors. So if I turn these all to true, I need to go ahead and match these material colors up with the material colors in here. So a quick way to do that is to double click this one, and we'll go to, now material 1 is just the default, so I think I'm going to skip that in my color ID. So material 1, we're just going to turn that to false for now. Material 2, we click this one open, is red, and it's actually R of 25500. Double click on this one. Material 2 is 25500. Go ahead and turn 2 to false for now. Material 3 is 00255, and it already is. Cool. Material 4 is 250. We'll make that 250. And here, there it is already. Cool. Next, material 5 is 128, 254. So we'll do 128, tab 128, 255 is fine. It'll pick it up. Well, let's play it safe. 254. Material 6 is 0, 255, 255. And material 7 is green. I don't think we actually ended up using it, but we'll put in 0, 255, 0. Now, I know that was kind of a pain, and actually, if you want to get really fancy, you can have functions drive this material ID and this multi-material blend to actually drive these selections in here. But we're not going to be that fancy because I'm not smart enough. But if you go watch the functions and expressions and stuff like that, you can set that up. So material number 7. What did I say? We said 0, 255, 0. Cool. So now I don't have to do that again. I can actually control copy, control paste this thing, and I can use this to mask out like plastic pieces and metal pieces depending on what I have true or false. And speaking of that, what you have true or false is dependent on what materials you have plugged in. So if we zoom in, right now I can break these up. You know what? Let's go ahead and, can I delete? Yeah, so I can delete these. I'm going to break these up. Instead of paths, customs, and non-customs, I'm going to break these up into metal and non-metal. So metal 06 is plugged into material 6. So I'm going to tell this thing, you know what? When 6 is chosen, material 6 is chosen, I want you to give me a mask. So if I plug this material ID into here now and double click it, you're going to see when I turn 6 to true, it's going to give me a white mask. So that means because 6 is a metal and it's true, it gives me a white mask. So I'm just going to keep going through here. That's plastic. This is kind of plasticky blue latex. This one, if I right click, view output 3D view, that's definitely metal. That must be our grungy titanium. So I'm going to say, hey, material 3, you are definitely metal. True. Going back through here, here's our metallic lime mint green here. So that was material 2. Yeah, so when material 2 is true, that's metal. So here is basically all of the metal masked out. So I can use this mask to drive, and we're going to put this into the optional metal edgeware. So now if I click over here and do view outputs in 3D view, you're going to see only where it's metal does it get metal scratches. Pretty cool. Let's do the exact same thing for plastic, only we're going to do a different kind of wear node for this one. Let's go ahead and change this from black to like a dark, I don't know, orangey, just so we can kind of tell what's going on. That was kind of a dull orange plastic for some reason, really gross looking. So what we're going to do is sun bleach. Actually, that looks too much like dirt. Let's choose green. There, like a dark green plastic. And actually, we're going to, sorry, I'm kind of nitpicking here. We're going to make that kind of a shiny, little bit of a shiny plastic. So what we're going to do now is dumb this plastic down like it was sun bleached. And luckily for us, we do have a, mass generators. We have a sun bleach node in here. There's a bottom to top that's what I look for, sun bleach. So I can drag this out. And we're going to use this mask to determine where things are going to get sun bleached. And basically what that means is when something's sitting out of the yard and sun's kind of sitting on it, it will kind of fade out the color of the plastic and also make it more or less shiny. So when it's, when sun's shining on it, it'll actually kind of make it more grungy, more rough looking. So it's actually going to make it less shiny. And then where it's underneath, where your He-Man plastic toy hasn't been UV destroyed by the sun, it'll actually maintain its color and its shininess. So we can actually control that using this node. And it's a little bit different than material blend. I'll show you why. So we have a sun bleach node, and of course this needs some special mesh data. It's normal world space and ambient occlusion. So I'm going to go ahead and plug those in. We didn't really talk about our normal world space, but it's similar-ish to your position map and ambient occlusion. So it's going to use these two masks, or these two maps, to determine where things are sun bleached. And you'll see how in a second. So I'm going to go back into 3 mode. And we are going to say, okay, sun bleach. You need a material adjustment. And there it is, so the material adjustment. So what is this node? I'm going to drag this out. And again, we're going to pass, now this one had a main material path and a secondary material path that kind of blended two materials together. This one is just main material. So we're going to plug this in, and we're going to plug this straight on through. And it doesn't do anything because it's not really doing anything. So even if we say, hey, okay, material adjustment, where this map is white, do something. And right now it's still not doing anything. Nothing's really being updated. And the reason for that is if you double click this material adjustment node, you're going to tell it where this is white, what I want you to do in my, well, first we need to change the channel. So I don't want diffuse, I don't want specular, I don't want gloss, and I don't want height. So when I go into my base color, when things are sun bleached where it turns white, I want my base color, whatever it is, it could be green, it could be orange, doesn't matter, whatever gets plugged in, I want you to do this to that color. I want you to desaturate it, so we're going to make it a little bit more gray. And as I start doing that, you're going to see on the tops here, it's turning kind of like a dark green, which, so it's desaturating, but it's kind of getting, it looks a little bit darker. I also want to change my luminosity, so I'm going to up that. So I want you to, maybe not that much, I want you to go ahead and when this is white, sun bleached, top down, I want you to go ahead and get desaturated and lighter. And the cool thing about this node is it's a material adjustment. So that just means no matter what gets plugged into here, metal, plastic, doesn't matter right now, I want you to take the base color and make it lighter and desaturate it. And you can even go in here to your roughness and like, you know what, my roughness, I want it to be super rough, or I want it to be super shiny. Now generally when things get sun bleached, you want it to be rough, so I'm actually going to rough it up a little bit. Cool, huh? Now the bad thing is it's sun bleaching our metal, so it's actually turning our metal and making it look kind of dusty. I'm going to go ahead and put this only where plastic is. So how we're going to do that is the same way we did this one. We have our material selector and it's set to true for all of these metals. If I'm going to delete this one. So if we take this material selector that has our metals as true, I can hold Control Copy, Control Paste, and if I double click this one, if you just flip these, so if we go, you know what, we'll do true, false, false, true, true, false, true, and I'm just went through and clicked them all. Now we have the inverse of those masks, so this should be where all my plastics and other are. So now if I go ahead and plug this one into where the sun bleach is going, it will only allow sun bleach to end up where my plastic is. So you're going to see where the plastic is. It's going from like a dark shiny green to like a light. Let me make sure this is working correctly. Oh, I actually have material 1 as red, and so that's interfering with my material 2. I'm going to go ahead and make material 1 black so it doesn't include my mint green material. So now it won't affect that material. Sorry about that. That threw me for a loop. So material 1, remember this one, material 1 in this node isn't even available to you, so just for this material in here, material 1, I'm just going to put the black. And this is all my plastic pieces in here, which, well, let me see. I should have the gray available to me. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and take this material, and I'm going to do material 1. I'm going to go ahead and pick gray. There we go. So now what we have is a true plastic mask. So if I want to make sure I know what these are, what I can do is actually hit spacebar and drop in a comment. And for this comment, I'm going to say, you know what? You are my metal mask. Thank you. And if I want to drop another comment in here, I can say, you are my plastic mask. So now if anybody comes in after me, they can go, oh, okay, those are plastic masks, and I've already chosen what materials are plastic, which ones are metal. So we've already textured this entire guy. Let me see if there's any material blend. We talked about material adjustments. We've talked about bitmap to material. I'm not going to talk about. Wes does an awesome video on that already, and a standalone as well, not just the material bitmap to material light. And you know what? I think we've gone over enough. I think you guys get the idea. Material adjustments, material blends, you can divide up and mask out your materials that go on your objects, and that's all totally cool. Now, how do you take it one step further? We've textured one object, yes. How would you use this graph right here to texture something else? Well, it's actually pretty easy.